he's like, why the fuck didn't you tell Jordi to play? He's like, we did tell him to play. We told him to play 3 times. And Matty just turns around and he goes, the guy's got a J tattooed on his arm. Tell him again. Mixed emotions at the time, because after whatever it was, 25, 30 minutes, I go over on my knee and I'm out for the guts of 10 months. But like, you go and create a bit of history with a team. I had a role to play in the 25, 30 minutes that I played. Marty's probably one of the most underrated players you'll ever meet. Like, he was an absolute cornerstone for Ulster. He was like, sure, he was with Ireland for 2 years non-stop, played every test.
Yeah.
Dave, we're back. Episode 6, and finally, you've allowed me to bring in a fellow Leinster man.
I know. I was fighting it long enough, but a great Leinster man.
Jordi Murphy, welcome to What the Ruck. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, lads. Great to be here.
And Jordi, now I suppose you're on the other side of the sport, working as an agent, I believe. Enjoying it?
Yeah, like, I'm 2.5 years retired, so it feels like a lifetime ago now. But yeah, no, body definitely feeling a lot better. Still get to enjoy the game, I suppose, through people now that I work with and stuff. But no, I'm happy enough. Like, I kind of feel like my race was run whenever I finished, and don't really miss it now. The odd time I watch a game and I'm thinking, I could still do that, and then you watch them actually hit each other and you're like, nah, I think I'm good to go.
And this man beside me on another side of the sporting world, dipping his toe into the media here with us at Talksport Ireland. Could you imagine something like this for our Dave?
I actually definitely could. Like, sure, he's the man I'd always remember at the top of the bus. No excuse, like, or didn't need an excuse to get up there every single time. Whenever we needed an MC, and, you know, sometimes you're looking across a bus and it goes quiet, killer's hand to go straight up. So seems like the perfect transition for him.
Never needed, probably a second invite, but there's obviously a reason Jordi's here, my new commercial agent. But let's interview him properly anyway. Navy Blue Sports, so any big deals out there, get on to Jordi and we'll
no worries, we'll work on something. We'll work on something.
That's it. Jordi, how did it come about? Was this something you were always maybe planning at the back end of the career? It's maybe not the most traditional route to go down after rugby, but how did it all come about?
Yeah, I guess it was like halfway through my career, I got a pretty bad injury, and I was in the middle of like a contract negotiation at that point, and my agent Niall, who I work with now at Navy Blue Sports, he would have looked after me my whole career. I would have been his first client whenever he set up the agency. So I suppose that was the first time in my career where, before that, I hadn't really thought about injuries or life after rugby and everything like that. And the contracts kind of just came as they came from playing well and everything like that. But obviously, I went and got a bad knee injury, and next thing I was out for 10 months. And then if you're looking at it from a business point of view, like, players are assets to clubs, and they're looking at me thinking, well, he's now going to be unavailable for the next 10 months, and what's he going to be like when he comes back? So there had been conversations before I got injured about a contract. That those conversations changed quite dramatically after my injury. So I guess that got the wheels in motion in my head about the contracting side of things, which I hadn't thought about at all. Like I said, I was kind of just going along, enjoying rugby for what it was and playing away and letting all that stuff be dealt with by my agent, which I actually think's probably the best way to do it. But when shit hits the fan, I guess, you start to think about the different side of it and the business side of it. So I started to become interested. I probably started asking more questions of Niall and how he was going about his business and all of that. And then I think he must have noticed that, because he started mentioning it to me with a couple of years left in my career, just saying, look, if whenever you do finish, I think this might be a good path for you to go down, and the door is always open. And when I decided maybe a year out that I was going to retire, we picked up that conversation again, and retired in May 23, took a couple of months to clear the head, and been in the game now a bit over 2 years, so really enjoying it.
Is that something that probably the two of you saw change over the course of your career? But that negotiation side of things, I know you were never tempted with a big move away, but did you? Did you need any slander at that?
That's not what he told everyone every time he was looking to get a contract.
No. Just a couple of weeks.
Change?
No, and look, just on Jordi there, I think with the agent, it's like you don't really need one until you need one. It's like, you know, as you said, when you're young, everything is going well. Contracts seem to be coming in every time. You're not worrying about it. You're playing carefree. As you get older, you pick up a couple of injuries, or your form is out, and that's when, you know, the clubs aren't running to you. You're probably the one done after Christmas. They'd contract lads at different stages. And I think the advantage Jordi has over like other agents is players want someone that they can trust, first of all. And Jordi's always been a very popular man amongst, everyone within Leinster, Ireland, Munster, all the lads. So you have that, and then you've been through it. You've been the player who's had all the contracts come, you've been involved with Ireland, been involved with Leinster. Then the other side, probably an injury, had to go away within the IRFU system, which is such an advantage as well to a young player who's maybe on the verge of like not a Munster or maybe moving. So having that, and I think then like another fella, Stephen Archer, just retired this year with us, and I think certain personalities are really like Stephen Archer was loved amongst the players, real trustworthy, great fella, and I think he'll suit it really well as well. James Downey's another lad I know. It's just certain personality types are really cut out for it.
Here to pick up the competition now.
Yeah. I'll let you and Archer fight it out. You're looking after my commercial stuff now. My Louis Copeland suit. He's already kidded me out. You have to get him on.
I was about to say, I haven't got the Louis Copeland gig just yet, so we might have to.
We'll decide him up after this, Jordi, will you?
You're right.
Jordi, I think from looking in at the outside, there seems to be way more opportunities for our rugby players now, both male and female. Maybe long gone are the days where it was just a boot or a scrum cap deal, but there seems to be more opportunities year round as well.
Yeah, well, definitely. I think like companies are looking to spend money, and I guess if you look at the trajectory of Irish rugby over the last kind of 10, 15 years, it's only really been on the up, and we're kind of always punching, well, I wouldn't say above our weight, but we're always kind of in that top echelon these days. So it's a very well supported team, certainly around Ireland, and just it's a popular team to get behind. So there definitely is a lot of sponsors. I think they're asking different things of players now as well. Like sometimes I come across a couple of negotiations where they're looking for a lot out of the player on a social, like from a social aspect, and sometimes you have to remind them like they are professional athletes first and foremost and not influencers. So there's a whole new dynamic with the whole influencer side of things, and agencies are definitely looking into that as well. But yeah, look, I think as long as the sport remains as popular as it is, and you're still going to have some really marketable guys and girls going through the sport, I think it's always going to be, it's going to be top of the list anyway when it comes to sponsoring.
Dave, did you ever get any good sponsorships?
I was just saying there, when you mentioned boot deals, I'll tell you a funny one. Frankie Sheehan was my agent. This has gone back 2010, 2011. And ended up getting a boot deal off Gilbert, which was their bootmakers, but and it was big money back then. It was $5,000 as a young fella. You're like, geez. And I think Stephen Archer got the same, and I was like 100%, $5,000 to wear a pair of boots. The boots came, I'd say those yokes had more grip in them. So I went out for a scrum session. I was like basically on ice skates. And sure, so I was like, look, God, the money's great, but I can't actually wear these. So Archer then ended up getting my $5,000 with his, and he slagged it out, and the rest is history, I suppose, with Archer.
Yeah. There's not much you can do with that. I suppose you just went back to the...
Yeah, I went back. Adidas, we were lucky. We used to get free gear and boots. They were a kid sponsor back then. I think they were actually a lot more generous probably back then. You could throw in the request for whatever you want, and then the big box would come for you. It was like Christmas every second week in there. A few fellas used milk at Murray and a few of them lads, but... that was my big endorsement deal, the $5,000 that I couldn't wear.
Jordi, you any bigger ones than that?
Well, I was sponsored by Under Armour for quite a number of years, which was great. I was one of the first ambassadors in Ireland for Under Armour.
Yourself and the Ruck.
Yeah.
Too right. Too right. If only he was wearing my gear, I was wearing his. Like
the Brahma bull and the Black Rock bull with the tattoo.
But no, in fairness to Under Armour, they were great for me. Like I've one story now. It was 2015. It was pre-World Cup, and I suppose summer was like off for the summer before pre-season, so had plans to go away with a couple of my mates. We were going to Croatia for the week, and we had been booked months in advance. We couldn't wait to go. And then on the Saturday, I'm literally boarding a flight, and Niall, my agent, rings me and he's like, "Oh yeah, Under Armour want you in London on Wednesday." I was like, "Sorry, no can do." I was like, "I'm going to be in Croatia with the lads," and he's like, "No, they." Like, this is the big campaign. They're getting all their like sponsored athletes to come in from wherever they are in the world, all shooting on the same day or same kind of 24, 48 hours in London. Like, you have to be there. And I was like, kind of, when you're 24, and I was just saying, no, I can do it on my own another time.
Well, I remember when you were 24 kids.
Yeah.
And regular in that week.
Anyway, the conversations were going back and forth, because obviously he'd have to speak to the sponsor and then come back to me and stuff. And obviously the week was progressing. Like, it was a heavy enough week when you were on the beers and stuff. Anyway, somehow the plan had been made that I was going to fly over. in the middle of it. So anyway, we had a big night out on Tuesday. We were in Hvar, like an island in the middle of Croatia.
Hula hula.
Yeah, exactly. And I just remember getting in at about 3 or 4, and I was thinking, shite, I'm sitting on a boat here in the middle of like a pontoon. Like I have to be in the airport and Split in like 4 hours time. Ended up seeing a sign for like a water taxi. Your man picks me up in the middle of a storm, brings me to a boat, shuttle a boat, like a big speedboat across to Split, fly over to London for the day, do a shoot for like 2 or 3 hours, get flown home. It was like, it felt like I was in The Hangover, you know, one of those speedboats driving you back from the airport to, but yeah, they were good to me in fairness, because like they could have seriously given out stink for that carry on, but it was...
Jordi, let's get into your story, your earliest memories. And let's start off the Leinster days. I believe Leinster debut 2011 around the World Cup time. Do you still remember that day right now?
Yeah, I remember it well. I guess I was the benefactor of a couple of guys picking up injuries at a World Cup, and then I was in my second year in the academy, probably didn't think I'd be getting too much game time, and like I said, they needed a couple of bodies, and then I got told on the Tuesday, look, you're playing against Glasgow on the weekend. I got about 15 minutes. I think I hit about 35 rucks, which seemed to be my specialty anyway. But I was it was one of those where I knew I didn't have too much time on the pitch, but my involvement wouldn't have been too much ball in hand. It was just trying to hit anything that moved. But yeah, then obviously I did all right. The following week I got a start, and then got a couple of games that year, and that was enough to kind of springboard me to playing and getting a contract off the back of. So yeah, I remember it very well. RDS 2011. I can't remember the exact date, but yeah, it was a special one.
Do you remember the first time you heard of a new, young Leinster back row coming through in Jordi Murphy? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think I distinctly remember in Carton House, you would have been used to playing under Joe, and you know, the moves, Candy Elvis, all these complicated moves. And I remember, you know, you look at Jordi and you think like, oh, relaxed kind of fella, which he is, great lad, but he was always unbelievably great at his detail and all that. And I remember coming over him and like going through my plays for my roles in the play. Sat down straight away, you're there. And you know, it was always like ahead of the game in that sense that probably people may or may not know about you, but sound like it.
Oh, appreciate it. Well,
didn't do too well with him anyway, but
well, yeah, you set a low bar coming to me for detail, but yeah, I suppose that was one of the things about Joe, ruled with a bit of fear, so you had to make sure you were on the button from the get-go, otherwise you'd be swiftly removed. So yeah, that was, so I suppose Joe would have capped me the first time at Leinster, and then he was there for maybe a year and a half and then moved on to Ireland. So yeah, that's where we would have crossed paths first. Yeah, we might have played against each other once or twice. But
I say before, then we played an Ireland A game together. Yeah, over in
Gloucester.
That was the first Ireland A game they had in years, and then they kind of took a break for ages.
Yeah.
You were in the glorious tour over to Georgia, Tbilisi. Thank God I didn't make that one. Yeah.
There must have been some good names in that Ireland A team, was there?
Yeah. I remember Jack was playing. Jack anyway. I just remember Lou said, myself, yourself. There was a, because I think they disbanded the Churchill Cup before it, or that was the last kind of big A tour, and that was the next kind of big fixture then since. And there was a lot of Leinster were going well, Munster was going well. There was a lot of competition in places, and I remember there was a lot of names in that went on to play for Ireland.
Yeah.
When you came into that Leinster team, what a team to come into. Obviously, you probably experienced Joe at a different stage of your career. What was it like as a, straight out the academy into that sort of environment as well?
Yeah, it was crazy when you think about it. Like, I remember watching rugby with my family growing up, and like next thing I'm in a change room with the likes of, say, like Brian O'Driscoll, Jamie Heaslip, Sean O'Brien, like Rob Carney, all these guys who'd won a European Cup in 2009 and Grand Slam with Ireland. And I suppose you had them on a pedestal, and then next thing you're training with them firstly and then secondly going out and playing with them. So yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was, like I said earlier on, it's kind of one of these things you don't really think about at the time. It's all happening so fast. But yeah, when you look back in your career, you appreciate some of the people you played with, because it's some pretty big names.
Dave, when you came into the Munster team, there was such experience in that front row, the likes of John Hayes, your cousin Marcus Horan, and then I suppose when you came into Leinster, it was a star-studded back row. What's it like, the dynamics? I think we've probably touched on, that new era of you lads coming through, but what was it like for this depth at back row. I think it was probably the start of Leinster really mass producing early back rows in such big quality.
Yeah, definitely. Well, like I said earlier on, like you had the likes of Sean O'Brien, Jamie Heaslip, Kevin McLaughlin, who was an Irish international.
Shane Jennings
was in there, yeah. Then some guys who had some really strong couple of years, like Leo Vaha, who ended up, he came from AIL and he must have picked up 30 or 40 Leinster caps.
How much an animal of a ball carrier he was.
He was incredible. Yeah. And then, like I guess if it's there was a point where I'm sitting in the academy and I'm thinking, like, how is there any chance of getting in, like, and playing some minutes in this team? And then I suppose you just do all the right things. You kind of take the coaching as it comes and try and play as well as you can in the AIL games. And at the end of the day, coaches are watching that sort of stuff. And when an opportunity came knocking, it is very much about taking your opportunities, especially these days in rugby. Like, if you don't take them quickly, like, they pass you by, or it can be ruthless enough. And lucky enough for us, we were able to take them when they came. But like I said, on reflection, some of the people you play with or played, I suppose, that behind that were a couple of seasons ahead of you, it was pretty crazy stuff.
Fast forward, 18 months from your Leinster debut is an Irish appearance at Twickenham. 2013?
Yeah, no, it was 2014.
2014.
So, yeah. But yeah, even that, I guess, like I said, I played a couple of, maybe half a dozen games that first season while in the academy. Then I got up to development. And I think that following year, Joe left and Matt O'Connor came in. And Matt O'Connor was a great coach for me. I've said it loads of times. Like, he's probably not one of the most popular Leinster coaches because we won a league, but I guess you go from going back to back Heineken Cups and league wins to, I think one year we might have finished 6th or 7th, which just isn't really good enough for a team like that. But he backed me from day one, as one of those coaches, filled me with confidence. And I think that kind of springboarded me a bit to be able to get into the Irish team. But yeah, my first cap was Twickenham, England away.
Someplace to do it, isn't it?
Someplace to do it.
Yeah, so...
He used to love Nugget, didn't he? Sean Cronin, Matt O'Connor.
I love Sean Cronin, yeah.
Give the ball to the fucking Nugget.
Yeah.
He used to love it. Nugget ended up winning, getting on European Team of the Year that year under him. He was playing.
Some amount of tries, I think.
Scored some amount of tries, yeah.
But like the difference between, again, say like a Matt and Joe, like Joe's very disciplined, very much about detail. Matt was just about like, just give it to the fastest bloke or whatever. Like, I remember he used to get me out in the back line a good bit, and on a Monday morning you'd review a game, and say on the Saturday I completely messed up a play out the back. So like when I was like, it was off a 5-man, I just ran the complete wrong line.
It was still in crystal.
Yeah. And anyway, we're coming in Monday morning and the forwards are doing weights and the backs are in their review meeting, and then we swap over and we're walking up to the meeting room and all the backs are laughing. I'm like, oh, what's so funny? He's like, wait till our team meeting later on. And then anyway, we're sitting down in the team meeting later on, we're going through this move, and Matty O'Connor turns around to someone and he's like, why the fuck didn't you tell Jordi to play? He's like, we did tell him to play. We told him to play 3 times. And Matty just turns around and he goes, the guy's got a J tattooed on his arm. Tell him again. So in fairness to him, he cut me a lot of slack, whereas I don't think I would have got that with Joe. But it was some good times in fairness.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jordi, like win Heineken Cup, win the 3 Magnus League, URCs, and then up to Ulster. How did you find the transition? I suppose everything, players, culture. It's obviously such a, first of all, massive balls you moved. No one really, not many players went from province to province and then had such a good career in one and then in the other, but started playing in both. How did you find that, or what instigated it?
I guess again it was off the back of that injury, and then the following year when I did come back, it like when you have a bad enough knee injury, it can take a little while. Some guys are just freaks and are able to bounce back. Like look at Dan Sheehan, goes and gets an ACL and he's back in 5.5, 6 months. It's like he never left, where I wasn't quite like that. I was about 10 months and it just took that little bit of time to get used to get used to playing again. But you don't have a huge amount of time on your hands when you're in that kind of high octane environment, and I was on a 1-year contract and I was left out of an Irish squad for November, I believe. So it would have been kind of November 2017. And then I also felt like it was hard enough to get into the Leinster team. And I was like, if I can't play here, I'm definitely not going to get picked for Ireland. And then if I'm not getting picked for Ireland now, like the World Cup's a year and a half down the line. And that was always my ambition, was to play for Ireland.
It's like once you get a taste of it, it's always
exactly.
what you want to be. Exactly, yeah.
I'd played the World Cup in 2015. I'd had, I don't know, say 15 to 20 Irish caps by that stage. And I was just thinking, like, I don't want this time to be over. I don't want that to pass me by. And I remember having a conversation with Leo, and I came out of the office and I was just kind of thinking, I don't know if things are going to change over the next while. I know it's obviously down to the player themselves to get in a position to play, but I remember just ringing Niall, my agent. I was just like, look, let's have a look around at what other clubs in Ireland are looking for. Like, there was opportunities to go abroad, but I knew that I was only 26, 27, so I still had the Irish ambitions in my mind. I still knew I could get up to that level. And look, Ulster just was the right fit at the right time. And
you backed yourself, yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, as soon as I went up, I had a good chat. I had a chat with the likes of Rory Best, Ian Henderson, guys that I would have played a lot with in the Irish squad. And it just felt like the right move. And I made it. And I absolutely loved my time up there. Like, I spent 5 years there. I don't know where the time went when
your family, everything up there.
I had our first kid, got married up there. It's the first time my wife, Laura, and I, we lived together, because she was living in Cork at the time, and it was just, neither of us fancied that commute from Belfast to Cork. So she made the sacrifice and came up to me, and it was brilliant. Like, I suppose culturally it was so different in a sense. Like, I always say, like, the way I compare it is with Leinster, because it's like, just the production line of talent is so incredible. Like, 99% of the Leinster squad is Leinster players. Whereas the other provinces need to look abroad and need to bring people in a lot. So Ulster was brilliant in a sense from an outsider's point of view. Although, like, I'm only from 2 hours down the road, but like outsider, I mean, like, I wasn't born and bred there. So there was a huge amount of integration amongst the guys who might have been coming from South Africa or the UK. And then also being able to mix in with the team. So no, it was a great move for me at the time, and I absolutely loved my time up there. I played some good stuff. So
it's so competitive and ruthless when you go up. Like, would there be an argument for lads, do you think, in other provinces like Leinster now, maybe going to a Munster or a Connacht or an Ulster, that aren't getting that game time, that maybe if they did, there could be an opportunity for them?
Yeah, well, like, you don't have to look too far. Like, Ben Murphy left Leinster year and a half ago, and he's now been capped by Ireland, and he's been a brilliant player for them. Michael Milne and Lee Barron both went to Munster. You see them playing very regularly, whereas they might not have been playing as much if they'd stayed. So there's definitely an argument for it. You know what I mean? I think a couple of years ago, people would have seen it as like, defeatist attitude. Oh, I can't get my game here, so I've had to leave. Whereas it's not the case. You're like, there's ambitions above playing for your province, your club, and certainly that's the way I'd look at it. Like, if your ambition is to go and play for Ireland, you need to be performing and playing every week for your club. You can't be performing for a club that you're not playing for, or that you get to play for 5 or 6 times a year. So look,
and even trying to get, if you are playing 4 or 5 times a year, you play a game, you come off a bench in, say, Leinster, and you don't play for 2 or 3 weeks, even trying to get continuity, form, you need to be playing week in, week out, really, for a couple of weeks to build any kind of form, because it's hard. You go in one week, mightn't be the biggest glamour fixture, could be, Dragons away, something like that. Then you mightn't play for a week or two, and you might be back in again. So it's very hard to build form. So there's definitely an argument for that, yeah.
100%. Like, look, I suppose it's just an endless cycle. If you're not, like, when you see guys play at their absolute best, they don't just come in and out after not playing for weeks on end. They've usually got a serious, like, body of work in them. And I think you can see that. Like, the very best guys end up playing 20, 22 games a year for whether that be club or country. And they're always playing to the highest level. Whereas guys who play 5 or 6 times, like you said, a bit fractured, where you might get 2 games then not a game for 3 weeks, like, it's very, very hard to compete. And you're certainly not going to get picked for honours off the back of that usually anyway.
Ty Byrne there rolled out every week, and you look at him and now he's after making the world player or world team of the year, so it's obviously proof in the pudding.
It really is, yeah. Jordi, I don't want to put words into your mouth, but I feel like perhaps one of the biggest days in a green jersey was perhaps led to some of the biggest lows as well, in terms of Soldier Field in 2016. And you spoke there about the move to Ulster and struggling for game time after recovering from that ACL injury. Can I bring you back to that game in Chicago and I suppose the run up to it and starting in that game, and then I suppose what transpired afterwards?
Yeah, so again, I'd had a bit of an up and down season the year before, but started to play well towards the end of the season. Ended up going on the summer tour to South Africa. Did you go on the summer tour?
Yeah.
2017. No, 2016.
16.
Yeah. So
Ty Furlong's first break. Do you remember that? It was Ty's.
Yeah, Ty got
Ty,
his,
that was his first
in
big
the second game.
Yeah. The second game.
But like, even if you look at that South African team, like they're like, it was, I think Sia Khaleesi might have been on like half a dozen caps. Faf de Klerk got his first cap.
That was a transition period. They had that 2015 where they lot of, even Sia, so I'm talking about it there after the Wales game. He was talking about Wales they're saying they're in a bit of disarray at the moment, transition, and he was like, that was us in 2015. You know, we were going through a horrendous period, loads of lads retiring, and I thought Razzie actually spoke very well after. He was like, look, we went through it. We had a big rebuilding phase, and he's like, fans are here, infrastructure's here. Like, it can change, you know, if there's buy-in, but
yeah, no, absolutely, and like, hopefully that will be the case, because like the rugby world's a lot better when Wales are up there. Do you know what I mean? When you know you're getting a good challenge every single time you go out and play them. But hopefully, in time,
they do come back. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
How many Grand Slams were they banging in there for a while?
Yeah, a crazy team for a while.
Yeah, crazy team.
Yeah,
but yeah, obviously that tour went well. Personally, for me, we won that first game. We ended up losing the next two games, but I think by like 3 or 4 points. Like, we probably could have won both. We were like, I think, almost 2 tries up in the second game. Probably let it slip a bit, and then the third game, I think we got pipped by, again, Faf de Klerk had an intercept with like a minute or two to go to stop us scoring.
Your man was playing. Do you remember him, Ruan Cornbrick, the winger?
Yeah, the Terminator.
He's a freak. He ran over a few fellas.
Yeah, I was just glad I wasn't a winger on that tour. He was ending people. But yeah, and I think one of the things about Joe, one of the things he was good at for me was a lot of credit. Do you know, like when you played well for him, he remembered. Yeah, so then after that tour, obviously took the summer off. Then the following season,
back to Havar.
Huh?
Back to Havar.
I wish that was a one-time gig. Yeah, the following season we were with Leinster, and it was a bit of a fractured start of the season for Leinster. Like we, I think we might have lost 2 or 3 games, one in Europe, and then one of the big interpros as well. So it was one of those where I wasn't quite sure if I was going to be brought back into the team. But New Zealand was the first game of that November series, and also like Shawnee was coming back from a long-term injury, Pete was coming back from a long-term injury. So I was kind of thinking, obviously those blokes have a lot of credit in the bank with Joe. Maybe he might go and bring them straight in. But in fairness, he stuck with the guys who'd done well for him on the summer tour in South Africa. And yeah, I flew over, and I didn't know I was going to be like starting. I thought I'd probably be playing, but then obviously he names the team. And to be honest, my initial feeling was like, fuck. I was like playing the All Blacks here in Chicago, and like, and the talk all week was like, we're going to make history this week and stuff. And like, obviously the demons in the head start coming in, and like, I would have been very relaxed, like a bit like Killer, I think, or not much would have fazed me in the past. But I've told this story before, but like, team was named, and an hour or two later I'm knocking on Enda McNulty, the performance, what was Enda's title?
Yeah,
psychologist, performance psychologist. Yeah, for the team. Fairness, I'd been to Enda a couple of times, but I wouldn't have been like a religious goer like some
the
guys.
agent. Now you need him. It's always grand when things are going well.
Yeah.
Now you need him knocking the door, late night knock.
But it was funny. I remember like, and was like, yeah, no problem. I'd say I'd had that conversation with a couple of lads who were like, I need a bit of help this week. And he was like, yeah, no problem.
Going down the corridor.
Yeah. So yeah, look, had a couple of coffees that week. He did a great job, pumping the tires, kind of making sure I was like ready to go. And I suppose one of the main things for me was the haka. I was like, right, I don't want to get phased by the haka before the game. So like, how can we combat that? And he gave me some way to do it. I can't remember it perfectly off the top of my head. No, it wasn't quite like that. But it was, whatever it was like, look, it's not that big a deal. And blah, blah, blah. Anyway, and then, look, we're lining up for the haka, and I'm doing whatever he told me to do. But then it's like blank. Your head just goes blank. And everything we talked about all week just out the window. And I'm like, oh, shit, here we go.
That 40 euro on coffee wasn't worth it.
Yeah,
The 6 coffees you after spoiling them with, like.
But, look, it was one of those great, like, I suppose it was mixed emotions at the time, because after whatever it was, 25, 30 minutes, I go over on my knee and I'm out for the guts of 10 months. But like, you go and create a bit of history with a team. I had a role to play in the 25, 30 minutes that I played, and felt like I was really enjoying the game, enjoying the rugby. And like, I wouldn't trade a single thing. I wouldn't go back and not take that injury to be part of that day. Do you know what I mean? So it's one of those kind of historic moments in Irish rugby history. Like, we hadn't done it in 111 years of trying to beat them. I think it was the 29th or 30th time of asking. So and now look at what we're able to do after getting that monkey off the back. So
it's weird. It probably, that's what it was. It probably, all of a sudden, they're not Ivan Drago. They can be beat. Like, I know, that was, and you were part of that first team, banged in a try that, at start that kicks that all off. So it's no, it was definitely one of the special days. Like, I guess top 3 anyway. My whole family was there, which is great. My girlfriend, now wife, Laura, was there. My mum, my dad, aunts, uncles, anyone you could ask. It was one of those where you kind of didn't know who was going to be showing up, and then by the end of the week, it was like everyone you knew was there. So it was a special one.
In the months following it, obviously the highs of the win, probably reality kicks in a bit, and it's like, right, I have a number of months of rehab to go. And then, like you said there, Shawnee coming back from injury, Pete coming back from injury in the Irish fold. Is it tough watching other people getting that chance, especially at provincial level as well, and new back rows coming in and maybe getting the minutes that you thought you would have been getting? Yeah,
well, at the time I probably didn't think about it that deeply, because I was like, it's not like I can play next week. I knew, so I was like, wasn't really focused on anyone else. I was very much focused on myself, and I was pretty good, because at the time I'd had it in my head. I was like, right, I'm back in 6 months here, no problem. And like, I had it, but then we got closer to 6 months, and I hadn't even run at the 6 month mark, and I was like, chatting to my physio, I was like, yeah, well, look, we had to have an optimistic target or whatever. And then went in and spoke with the surgeon, and he was like, yeah, look, you came in saying 6 months, but I saw your knee, it wasn't a 6 month knee.
Who was it? Ray Moran?
Ray Moran, yeah. He was like, it was a bit of a car crash in there. And I was like, oh, well, thanks for letting me know, but like, sarcastically. But then I was kind of like, well, I'm glad he didn't tell me that at the time. Do you know what I mean? I think he'd seen enough of them to realize when there's no point in deflating someone who's coming in on a bit of a high, thinking, oh, it's grand, I'll be back in a certain amount of time. But look, got it right in the end. And my physio, Carl Denver, at the time, would be a very close friend now off the bat. Like, we would have got on very well, because I would have been on the physio table a bit anyway over the previous years, but not usually for long stints. But he was so diligent, and like left no stone unturned to get me back. So look, I had the company, and I had my friends and family around anyway. It was obviously, I would have liked to have played, but I got there in the end.
What was Jordi's biggest strengths, I suppose, as a player? If someone asked you what Jordi would bring to a team as, a teammate or an opposition on a number of occasions as well, what would you say?
First of all, the crack anyway, and a few good nights out in the VAR. No, he was, I'd say if you ask anyone, the same. Insane work rate, very, very intelligent footballer, always in the right place, right time. Just pretty much had it all. That's, you don't have the career you have like that. Win Heineken Cups and URCs and play that long and playing them big games against the All Blacks and win if you don't have all that. So one of the best fucking Leinster back rows to do it.
Don't must be getting emotional. What do you think of Dave?
I was just about to say, is this just because I came on the show? He's saying all this stuff about
me. There's no fee for kids. We have to build you up somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm doing what Ray Moran did.
Look, from my point of view, I suppose reciprocate the crack side of it. Great teammate to be around, and definitely to have on your team. Like, I just remember the explosivity that Killer brought to every facet of his life, but definitely when he was on the pitch, I remember you and Nugget, Sean Cronin were like thick as thieves, and the two of you lads, whenever you got the ball, you knew it was a dangerous combo. But just again, reciprocate the compliments on the crack side and the career. You wouldn't have the career you have without like having some X factor, and Killer certainly had X factor.
I heard you speak on another interview before, and you said if you had any regrets over the course of your career, you said it would be maybe not taking yourself so serious when you were younger. I suppose.
I know. I think I said I wish I'd taken myself more seriously.
Sorry. Yeah.
Complete opposite. Here, will you read from the script? Not so serious.
Yeah, I don't know if that came out right. I think it was more. Yeah, when I first went into professional rugby, I guess I was so young. Like, I'd only just come out of school, 18, 19 years of age, and the game was really professionalizing at that stage. Like, I feel like if I'd gone about my business the way I did back then now, you wouldn't make it. Like, it's too ruthless. People are like trying like too much stuff to get that little bit of an edge. I didn't really think like that. I was just kind of enjoying myself on and off the pitch, probably burning the candle a little bit too much on both ends. And I guess like that Havar story, almost getting away with it a bit. Like, you know, like I got to that shoot and all the sponsors were like, "Oh, fair play to you, hilarious. Like, you've been on the piss there for 4 days and now you're going back for another 3 days. Fair play for doing this in between." Like, you know, I was in like a pontoon on a boat at 5 a.m. in Croatia, and I'm at a photo shoot in the middle of London at 12.
And the Rock's coming over to fight you in the ring, like,
and then I'm back to Croatia that evening by 10, like, you know. So
oh, you flew back?
yeah, I was straight back.
You made hula hula.
Yeah, it was a white party that night.
Yeah, what was the island after? Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was a mad old spot. Anyway, back to the question. So I think, and that probably caught up with me after a couple of years. Like, I think after the 2015 World Cup, I started to start picking up like little niggles that I never would have got before. Like, I remember I had a groin issue for the season. Like, I tore the sole of my foot as well halfway through that year, and it was one of those where I was just kind of like, geez, the body's starting to give up. Whereas before, any injury I'd had was like
dead leg, soft tissue or something.
Or not even, like, soft tissues were fine. It was an impact one, like, do you know what I mean? Like, Dev Toner broke my hand one time because he needed me in the hand in a tackle, like real random stuff that you can't like prevent. Whereas probably by like that 2015-16, there was stuff that was like the tweaking of the odd calf or like little hammy and stuff that I never would have had before. And that was probably because I wasn't looking after myself to the level that you need to be doing. You certainly need to be doing now. Again, I don't think I'd go back and change anything, but sometimes on reflection, I think if I'd looked after myself a little bit more, would I have been better off a while later? But
then again, knows? It did. You were right. The professionalism changed a bit. It was just around then. You were on that team with Bomber Conway, the Black Rock team that thought they were the Harlem Globetrotters coming out of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. So they were definitely burning the candle.
I was definitely Scottie Pippen there. I think Bomber was Jordan.
But he says it as well, Bomber. But I think everyone, it was just social media wasn't as big a thing. It probably Ireland weren't where they were, you know, in terms of level of professionalism. And I think that, as you said, now you look at the young lads now, you know, it's completely different. It's you know, you wouldn't survive, as you said. You wouldn't actually survive unless you're, you know, doing everything. As you said, it's gone so, and it was ruthless back then, and it was as competitive, but it just probably was not where it is professionally now.
Yeah, like I think on your point there, it was as ruthless and as competitive, but people were also, like, you know, when I was coming out of school and you're going into Leinster, you'd still hear like, oh, the Tuesday night club, like people who might go for a few beers on a Tuesday, like, so, whereas now that's just never happening. That probably hasn't happened in 10, 12 years, where guys are like with a day off thinking, oh, we'll go out midweek or whatever, and then 100% going out after a game. Like, guys are looking at big long blocks, like that. We're just going into, say, from a provincial point of view, the teams are going into a 10-game block like that. I'd say they're all going to be looking after themselves, or they might target 1 or 2 nights as a team and everything like that. But like the majority of guys, 99.9% of them will be looking after themselves to try and get the absolute best out of themselves over these blocks. Whereas I suppose when first coming out of school and you want to live a bit of a double life, like the college life and the pro life at the time.
Did you ever dress up as a guard like our Dave?
No, I heard that story though.
I remember going back to that. I remember Declan Kidney was in, and this just shows you the change in times. Like, I remember we were playing Wales. I think it was my first Six Nations, and myself and Sean O'Brien drove down to Limerick after training on Tuesday. We were off Wednesday. Now, we weren't drinking, but we drove into Moore Disco, an Icon inside Limerick. We were still, it was a college night out, and we stayed back at my house, and you just wouldn't get away with that now, obviously with phones and all that, and you just wouldn't do it anyway. But that was like, as you said, the Tuesday club was definitely a thing. No, that wasn't, that was a once off.
That's great though, yeah, but you're dead right. There'll be no getting away with that these days. Yeah.
No, I just think like everyone's at like, they're all such like finely tuned athletes now, like as well. Like you're just kind of, yeah, you'd notice it, or you just wouldn't get away with it, or your level would be that much lower, like 5% lower, that like you'd be dropped the next week. Like it's just so competitive now. Do you know what I mean?
Are you glad that you played in and came up in the years that you were?
100%. Yeah, I think like probably got the best of both worlds to a point. Maybe at the time, like I always think like when you look at the coaches of Irish rugby over the last few years, like obviously you had Decky who was there, and he had like an incredible pool of talent, but maybe not the discipline. Obviously you got the absolute best out of them getting a Grand Slam, but then there was a couple of years where they faltered. Then you had Joe coming in, and like he was so disciplined and a bit of an authoritarian, but that was like exactly what Irish rugby needed at the time. Like had just a bit. Exactly what Ireland needed at the time, like this incredible pool of talent, but they probably weren't all singing off the same hymn sheet, and Joe certainly brought that. And then Faz, obviously, after coming in 2016, saw that for a number of years and realised, right, the foundations of discipline and detail are all here. Now it's very much about relationships with players and how the squad feels, and that making sure that everyone feels equal, even though obviously you've got to go and pick a 23 on the weekend, but you never hear a bad word coming out of camp these days.
No.
Do you know what I mean? So I think that's the evolution of Irish rugby has definitely been helped by everyone that's like coached it, but it's when I look back at it now, you can see the importance of certain people at certain times.
I agree with that as well. I think we were if you look back, we were very fortunate. I think you got that tail end of it. It was still very professional, but it wasn't probably as strict as it maybe was. And you got as in social media again wasn't there. There wasn't that pressure and stress that I'm sure the lads are, they're out, they're getting photographed, any of that crack. So you had that, but then you got to experience all the professionalism side, and I was obviously lucky I got to work under Faz then and Razzie and these brilliant coaches. So it's even when you look back, it's even having the different coaches is brilliant. Even you having Matt O'Connor, do you see how highly you speak of him there? You get to experience all these people. I think it was a bit of a golden age. It was brilliant.
We did this with Dave last week, and I got him to choose his dream pack that he's played with, and I'm going to get you to do the same. Obviously, you played at Leinster and Ulster, so we will allow people from both.
Oh, this will be
okay.
So we might start it off in the front row. It's obviously not Ireland, so we can't have Killer in that number one, which I knew he would have been.
Yeah, some pretty tough decisions in there. Like when you think about some of the lads, like
you're an agent now as well, kids. You got to be careful here.
Well, thankfully,
past
everyone
players,
I'm going to name is retired.
Yeah.
Well, mostly retired. But yeah, I suppose. Like, look, I'd Cian Healy and Jack McGrath at Leinster, which is crazy. Like when you think about it.
Which one are you picking?
Remember, like I guess like Church would have been there from ever 07 up through, and then when I first started breaking into the team, he was there. But then remember, he picked up that like arm injury, or actually it was a neck injury.
No, the hand, and
then the hand,
He's got it.
So then Jack McGrath, who was thereabouts, took his opportunity, and then obviously went started I don't know how many games for Ireland and went on the lines and stuff. So I guess for my most successful years at Leinster, Jack was probably starting, so I'll go with Jack on that one. But that's an incredibly tough start. Hooker, jeez, I couldn't look past Nugget really. Like I don't think he'd let me live it down.
You're going to be negotiating with Rory Best soon, kids.
That's true.
He's the new GM he's a new GM in Ulster. So
yeah, we'll speak to him now over the next few days.
He could be taking a zero off some. He could be taking a zero off some of your contracts.
So we're going Rory Best number 2.
Yeah, Rory Best number 2. That's a tough one as well. Like if you look at someone like Rob Herring, Rory Best played for the first 2 years when I was at Ulster, and then retired, and then Squish or Rob Herring, like the impact he's had on the squad and Irish rugby. Yeah, look, I'm going to go for Bessie just to
keep
better contracts.
Yeah, fair.
Have a good Christmas.
Tighthead's a tough one. Again, geez, I'm not going to say it's a tough one because they're all tough ones. I guess I'm just going to go with Tig Furlong there. Like, it was 3-time Lion. I've known him for years. Would have played 20s with him. Like Mike Ross, I played with it a load of times as well.
Marty Moore had a good spell with you, and
was
you know,
the next person I was going to name.
Remember that 2018? He was 2017.
He was crazy. Like, Marty's probably one of the most underrated players you'll ever meet. Like, he was an absolute cornerstone for Ulster. He was like, sure, he was with Ireland for 2 years non-stop, played every test, and then obviously fell out with the powers that be and ended up over in England. But like, he would have got, Marty could have easily got 50, 60 caps for Ireland, I'd say.
Right.
And yeah, probably a shame he didn't pick up any when he was up at Ulster. You know, he was playing some really, really good stuff.
Barrel scrum.
Second row, he's hard to look past someone like Ian Henderson. Played with him. And Dev, probably they're the first two that come to mind.
Broke your hand on knees
broke
and
my
elbows.
hand. Dev, the Terminator for all the wrong reasons. He usually injured people on his own team more than people on the other team. Like,
I lifted him one day. I remember, I think it was up in November. Like, horrible day up in Carton House. Forwards going against each other, drum up. Size, whatever size shoe he is down, and the foot, the 21 studs. I was like, oh my God. It's just, you were getting something off him, getting a knee in the back of the head, or a big 14 shoe down on your foot.
I know. 6, I know who I'm picking at 8. So Marcel Kitsia at 6, played with him at Ulster. Like, he was genuinely the most impactful player I think I've ever played with. Like, it was night and day when you took him out of our team up there, like how much better we were with him.
Isn't it mad that even when he went back, it just shows you the South African pack that he's not even making them squads, do you know?
Yeah, it just shows you the strength and depth.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Like, he played a couple of times when he went back, but
he brought him in. Yeah,
not as many as like certainly I would have hoped, or you would have expected, probably from the outside looking in. But then, sure, nobody ever puts a foot wrong there. So it's like, how do you drop anyone? So yeah, Marcel at 6, absolute quality player, quality bloke. Sean O'Brien at 7, kind of speaks for itself, like the impact he had. And Jamie, he slipped at 8. That's a pretty good team.
That beat your pack.
That'll give my pack a good run for its money. Depends where it's played. Down in Thomond Park, I think we would have had him.
We'll have to do a 2-legged tie there. Yeah. Jordi, what a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for coming in. And yeah, another good one, Killer.
Yeah, Jordi, top man. We expect the brand deals to flow in here now from me and Luke. He'll be in the Louis Copeland next week.
Don't worry, lads. And it's plastered over the talk sport. You know who to give credit to anyway.
100%.
Thanks for having me, lads. Cheers.
Legend Jordi. Appreciate that.